We'll now call the business session of June 18, 2024 to order at 6:08 PM. Council members are present. Great. Now please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item of business is to consider the minutes of the June 4th, 2024 regular City Council meeting and the June 6th, 2024 special City Council meeting. These minutes were provided in your meeting packet. Are there any corrections? Any corrections? There being no corrections, those minutes stand approved as submitted. Our next item are proclamations and presentations, and I will meet Lydia Lopez down at the podium. Yes.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I'm honored to present this prestigious award to my colleague and friend, City Secretary Michelle Hicks. The Achievement of Excellence Award recognizes municipal clerk offices throughout the state for their adherence to federal, state, and local statutes that govern the necessary standards to fulfill the duties and responsibilities of the office. To qualify for award, a municipal clerk's office must have met 9 of the 12 standards, which is no small feat. This award highlights the significance contributions of the City Secretary's office and the city itself in local government. The City of Waco is fortunate to have such a highly qualified and upstanding City Secretary. Michelle serves on the state level as the treasurer on the executive board of the Texas Municipal Clerks Association. She also serves locally as the vice president of the Central Texas chapter of Texas Municipal Clerks. She has also been selected as the chapter's TMCA Clerk of the Year for 2023. And I believe, I'm not supposed to say this, but I think she's going to be nominated for 2024 as well. So we're very proud, and I do want to say on behalf of the Texas Municipal Clerks Association, the Executive Board, and the Central Texas Chapter of Municipal Clerks, congratulations, and we're very, very, very proud of her. Where is she? All right.
Let's get on your side.
So super fast, because we got a lot of stuff to do. Just know that we are super proud of Michelle. We as council only have 4 employees, and we are pleased that she is one of them. She has elevated this office to do great things, and we're very proud of her, and we see the impact that she's having not only in this community, but across the state. And it is always good to see our former city secretary, Patricia Irvin, in the audience.
Amen.
And Lydia is coming as a visiting city secretary, but we're so appreciative of all the work that she does in Hewitt.
Yeah, we all have great things to say about Michelle. Michelle, thank you so much for taking care of the city and taking care of all of us council members. I'm happy you're back in position there because you got to take care of me to make sure I make it through the rest of this meeting tonight. Anybody else on that? Again, appreciate you, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle, and great to see Trish as well, a Waco legend. Glad to have you here.
That's right.
We're so good to hear you tonight. Our next proclamation is to talk about Teamwork Saves a Life Day, June 18th, 2024. So could Commander Conley Newman, Sergeant Elijah Basden, and Sergeant Billy Gann come down? Oh, you're already in line here. It's fantastic. Typically, you guys are first responders and you're first in line here. Great. I just want to, before I read the proclamation, and as I read the proclamation, everybody will understand what's happened here. You guys are great. This honors your bravery and you serving your duty and saving lives. This isn't just stuff you see on TV, on cop shows. I mean, this really happens in Waco, Texas. So I'm very proud of the Waco Police Department and all the first responders and the fire department serving our community. And with that, I will read this proclamation. Again, June 18th, 2024 is Teamwork Saves a Life Day in the city of Waco, and I urge all citizens to join the city council, city staff, and me in recognizing the dedication of the first responders from the Waco Police Department and the Waco Fire Department to protect and serve our community, as well as the exceptional actions taken to save the life of one of our citizens. On May 30th, 2024, the Waco Police Department received a call for a person in distress near the suspension bridge. After searching the area, officers located the person in the Brazos River and attempted to make contact. Officer Antonio Moreno arrived on the scene and, having had a rope in his patrol car, tossed it to the person multiple times. With the depth of the river and another severe thunderstorm approaching, the officers knew they had to act quickly. Officer Elijah Reed tied the rope around his waist, and with Officer Moreno, they were able to wade out into the waist deep water, while Officer Nick Crosswhite stayed behind holding the rope on the shore in case they needed to be pulled back to safety. The person was pulled from the river by the heroic actions of these officers who did not think twice about risking their lives to save another life. Waco Fire Department Battalion Chief Chris Pekachik, Lieutenant Billy Erie, and firefighter Scott Friesen assisted in the rescue and assumed patient care on the scene. Those who also assisted in this incredible rescue were Sergeant Elijah Basden, Officer Aaron Becerra, Officer Jessica Rodriguez, Officer Adeline Spencer, Officer Brandon Squires, and Officer Jacob Armida, as it was truly a team effort. It is with gratitude that we extend our heartfelt appreciation for their amazing demonstration of courage, compassion, teamwork, and patience. And that's in testimony whereof, witnessed by hand, signed by me and all the council members. Let's hear it for these heroes.
It's no talking, they're too busy saving lives.
Yeah, they're out there saving lives. They don't.
Which one is Officer Moreno?
I don't know. Which one is Moreno in the middle?
I think
The one that's to the
standing
left?
next to Jim, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Can't see faces.
That is off center. Act like you like each other.
Chief Victoria here today too. Thanks, Chief. Great staff, great folks. We are so proud, we are so lucky to have this great police department and fire department in the city of Waco. Just so proud of y'all.
She's in the back.
The next proclamation this morning, or this afternoon, is Waste and Recycling Workers Week, and Cody Patello's right here. Again, this is Waste and Recycling Workers Week. Cody is leading this, the solid waste department at a very critical time in the history of Central Texas. Actually, we are putting in a regional landfill, which is a project we've been working on for the last 8 years, and augmenting that with a transfer station that we have never had before. And Cody, as young as he is here, he's over the whole department there, and it's a very big project, and he's handled it with much grace and aplomb and on budget and on time, and I appreciate all the work you do, Cody. It's this kind of young and smart leadership that the city of Waco has right now. I'm so proud of this group. So anyway, this is Waste and Recycling Workers Week. So I, Jim Holmes, by the virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Waco, do hereby proclaim June 17th to 21st of 2024 as Waste and Recycling Workers Week in the city of Waco. And I urge all citizens to join the city council, city staff, and me in honoring the many employees in our solid waste department. We encourage all citizens and local businesses to participate in opportunities to say thank you. The role of waste and recycling management goes far beyond collection and disposal. It provides a variety of services and programs designed to protect and reduce the impact we have on the environment. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the eradication of many diseases in the Western world is due in large part to higher public sanitation standards from effective garbage disposal. The proper collection and disposal of waste, as well as recycling and diversion, are integral to preventing litter and illegal dumping. The city of Waco promotes environmental sustainability by reducing waste and increasing recycling and diversion. During this special week, the world takes time to recognize the dedicated efforts of the workers who keep our communities clean. The observance of this week also celebrates the great strides the industry and experts are taking to make Waco a better world for all of us. And this is in testimony whereof, witnessed by the hand and the seal of the city of Waco, signed by the mayor and all of the city councilmen. And Cody, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Cody Patello, Director of Solid Waste. I'm lucky enough to work with a great team of individuals, that we got a few of them out here, and I'm just happy to be with the City of Waco and with the Solid Waste Department. We've done a lot of great things, and we've got a lot more to come, so appreciate y'all appreciating us. Thank y'all.
A special shout out to people on 46th Street.
I'm sure we're going to get a picture, Cody, but while we've got you up here and you have a mic, if you wanted to remind people watching at home or people in the crowd about the service that will not be happening tomorrow.
So tomorrow is an observed holiday, Juneteenth, so if your trash is regularly collected on Wednesdays, it will now be collected on Thursdays of this week.
Very nice.
Mayor, while you're going back to your seat, if you don't mind, I was in such a rush to get back to my own seat, I did not thank my staff. And so I just want to go ahead and say thank you to the City Secretary's office for all that they do and all the hard work that they've put in to make that office a great office.
Okay, now we move, thanks, Michelle, for recognizing everybody. We now move to the public hearings, and the next item to consider is public hearing 2024 2024-460. Caleb?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This is a public hearing to receive comments on the draft consolidated plan for fiscal years 2025 through 2029 and the 2024-2025 draft annual action plan prior to submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The City of Waco's Citizen Participation Plan requires that the city conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the proposed activities identified in the draft consolidated plan for fiscal years 2025 through 2029 and the 2024-2025 draft annual action plan prior to submission to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The plan identifies the housing and non-housing community development needs and priorities over the next 5 years within the city and will serve as a blueprint of what projects will be funded through the use of Community Development Block Grant Funds and Home Investment Partnerships Program funds. The annual action plan includes a housing, homeless, and community development needs plan for addressing priority needs and the city-specific plans for the use and spending of the 2024-2025 CDBG and home funds. The plan will be made available for the public's review from June 24th of 2024 through July 24th of 2024. The consolidated plan and annual action plan will be brought back for a public hearing on August 2nd, 2024, and a resolution for approval at the August 2nd, 2024 City Council meeting. Hard copies are available for the public's viewing in the City Secretary's office, the Housing Office, and the public libraries. The notice for this public hearing was published in the non-legal section of the Waco Tribune-Herald, posted on the city's website, posted at the city's libraries, and on the city's bulletin boards. No council action is required for this public hearing.
As Director Price stated, there's no council action required on this one. So the next item to consider is public hearing 2024-461. Director Price.
Honorable Mayor and council members, this is a public hearing to receive comments on the amendment to the 2017, 2019, and 2020 Consolidated Annual Action Plan to provide unspent CDBG funds for assistance with housing rehabilitation. The proposed amendment would provide spending of federal funding from HUD's CDBG program as follows. Provide funding up to $219,260.13 for the rehabilitation of existing homes to address code violations and meet local codes and other applicable codes. The amendment was placed out for public comment from May 15, 2024 through June 15, 2024. Notice was placed in the non-legal section of the Waco Tribune-Herald, posted on the city's website, and on the city's bulletin board. No comments were received regarding this.
Thank you, Director Price. Are there any questions for staff? We will now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield. Yes. Rodriguez.
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
Ewing. Yes. Bordereau.
Next item to consider is public.
Mayor, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt. On item number 460, there was not council action needed, but we do need to open a public hearing on that item.
Okay. Thank you, City Attorney Ritchie. We will now go, the 461 is done though, right?
Let's go back to 460.
461 passes. We will now go back to 460. And we'll open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone present who'd like to speak regarding item number 460? Seeing no speakers, we will close the public hearing, and there is no council action required.
Yes,
Thanks.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, City Attorney. We'll now move to public hearing 2024-462. Director Price.
Honorable Mayor and council members, this is a public hearing to receive comments on an amendment to the 2020 Consolidated Annual Action Plan to provide unspent CDBG CARES Act funding for assistance with child care centers. The proposed amendment would provide spending of federal funding from the HUD CDBG CARES Act funding as follows. Provide funding up to $72,250 for the operating costs and/or scholarships for child care centers. The amendment was placed out for public comment from May 15, 2024 through June 15, 2024. Notice was placed in the non-legal section of the Waco Tribune Herald, posted on the city's website and on the city's bulletin board. No comments were received regarding this.
Thank you, Director Price. Is there any questions for staff? Guys, any questions? I'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak on this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this?
I just want to call out that I applaud our city staff for creatively using these funds that have an expiration date that are tied to federal funding and making sure that we're continuing to address the needs of our community. It is no secret that childcare is not only hard to access, but once you can access it, there can be a barrier to entry with costs. So I applaud our city's efforts in doing what we can to reduce that for our neighbors.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Ewing. Please poll the council.
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Ewing.
Yes.
Borderoux.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye. The next item to consider is the consent agenda, and we have two resolutions that have been pulled from the overall consent agenda. We'll vote on each item separately. The first one we will discuss is Resolution 2024-463. And let me see. We'll open a public hearing for comments.
No, sir. I think I'll have speakers signed up to speak on the item.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
we
it
do
doesn't
have-
need to be a public hearing.
Remind me what 463 is.
It's the adoption of the downtown development plan.
463, okay, the first one. All right, we have 4 cards on 463. The first speaker will be Michael Nichols. And on deck will be Cameron Morgan.
Good evening, members of the Waco City Council. My name is Michael Nichols. I'm a resident in North Waco. I'm here to express some concerns about this very large, $1.8 billion development plan as it's been published with the details that we've not seen yet. And while I understand a desire to attract visitors and stimulate economic growth, I believe it's crucial for Waco to take the opportunity of our current situation to grow financially stable through incremental improvements rather than placing one big bet on facilities largely meant to entertain and target out-of-town visitors. One of my primary concerns is the financial burden that this places on current and future residents. The scale of this development raises questions about the long-term sustainability and the affordability to our community. There's so far, at least as far as I've read, sort of a lack of clarity on where the funding for all of the project comes from, what's public, what's private, what kind of loans are going to have to be taken out. Will there be debt, either through loans, through tax relief, so a loss of revenue in that way, or revenue sharing, as I think was published about the housing riverfront development. There's going to be some kind of tax relief for a share of revenue, tax revenue shared with the developer, and that the loss of this money or the accrual of this debt will prevent us from covering some massive maintenance costs over the coming decades of the city's life and not just in the near term. I believe it's essential to ensure that any development plan aligns with the needs and priorities of our local community. And I would request that there be a delay on the passing of this vote for 30 days for further public comment, releasing and even promoting details of the proposal through the city newsletter, particularly the financials and where the money is all coming from. And then an additional delay of another 30 days while the city council reviews these comments. And I believe we can work together to build a city that's not just going to attract visitors, but also support sustainable growth, prosperity, and resiliency for our residents and our small businesses. Waco is and can become a great city. We don't need to take one big gamble on big buildings to create a community of beauty and wealth. I thank you for your time and attention to this important matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. I appreciate it. Next up is Cameron Morgan, and on deck is Rob Reed.
While Cameron's approaching, could I just, may I know it's on the agenda, I'm allowed to speak to it. I do just want to add a point of clarification that today we are voting exclusively to approve the roadmap to be the structure by which we implement these phases. So we're not expending any funds today. We're not approving any groundbreakings today. This is exclusively so that we can view, and if you go back and watch the work session, or if you're here for the work session, you can see the phased approach where we are looking at this for phase one, really just to redo and improve existing infrastructure underground, and taking that opportunity to beautify and provide public space downtown, and going from there with council input at each subsequent phase before we take any action. So I do just want to, I appreciate your comments. I hear exactly where you're coming from, but I wanted to provide that clarity, and would encourage, if you were not at the work session, to review the presentation. It's about 45 minutes of really good content. So.
Thank you, Councilman Ewing. Ms. Morgan, please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address council.
My name is Cameron Morgan. I live at 5312 Flatiron, out by the airport. And I want to first say that I actually echo what the previous gentleman said. From what I understand, this project started as far back as 2022 or thereabout. You, the city council, or your predecessors, and the developers have come up with this project plan that started with 10 acres and now has grown to over 100. My first question is why do we need a minor baseball league here in Waco? Have you already signed up a team? Is that what this is about? And the newly redesigned Riverwalk, what's wrong with the one that we've got? There are lots of people that use that. How many residents over in Waco have been involved in this project from the very beginning, or even know about this project? You didn't share this with all the residents of Waco. I just found out about it yesterday when I was browsing through Facebook, and I saw the article by our local CBS WKTX station that identified that this was this project in this meeting. So again, obviously I'm late to the game here. I'm sure, like I said before, there are many, many Waco residents that have no idea about this project and what you're doing. This project should have been on a ballot several times. They should be advised what is being done and their taxes being spent and how and what kind of grants and other money that you're putting this city in as far as debt. Over the years, you have been changing and making this wonderful little city into a bigger one, trying to compete with other cities larger than us. Several years ago, I heard the term, we're a tourist town. Oh, I love this town, and that's why I moved here. It was small, quaint, people were wonderful, and it's definitely growing. There's so many more things that this city must address first before spending our taxes and other money that you're borrowing on. Clean up the roads, the bush, the trees, invest in making this whole city nice, not just downtown. That's all I've heard, downtown, downtown, downtown. You promised to fix our streets. You put a tax on us to fix the street. Not one street have I seen that has fixed up. There's 2 years ago, our 5th councilman knew about China Spring Highway and how bad it is out there. Go ahead, take a drive on either side. It's a roller coaster.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. That's 3 minutes. Thank you so much. Next up is Rob Reed, and that will be followed by Tiffany Reed. Ms. Reed, please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address council.
Howdy, I'm Rob Reed, and I was born here in Waco. Lived here much of my life. I work at Baylor University. And I kind of wanted to follow up on some of the previous comments. And I'll just, for the sake of time, I'll emphasize the issue with the baseball team. Okay, I've got about 2.5 minutes, so we'll focus on that. All these consultants and developers who go around to cities with their marketing plans and the things that they want to build, they've been selling this minor league baseball thing for 35 years. And if the people of Waco really want a baseball team, I think that's fine. But there needs to actually be some expression of will from the citizens that this is something they want. And in this plan, the way it's described, I think is quite inaccurate. It is described as an investment. And in fact, over the last 25 years, there have been dozens of empirical studies published in peer-reviewed economic journals. And I just want to read you the abstract of a recent one. This is Journal of Sports Economics, April 2021. Professional teams and leagues claim new stadiums lead to economic development. To test this, we utilize data from the Census Bureau on net establishment and employment changes across 871 metropolitan and micropolitan statistical areas from 2004 to 2012. And I'm going to skip to the end. Nearly all results from hundreds of models are insignificantly different from zero. In other words, this has been studied dozens of times. It doesn't make any money for cities. If you would like to do further research, I would recommend looking at the Brookings Institute. They've done quite a bit on this since the mid-90s. But no one in a peer-reviewed journal of economics has ever been able to show that this is an investment, okay? And so if we're talking about spending tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, or even if I mean, the issue is often they want public money to build these stadiums. But if it's $100 million and the expectation is no net effect, that's $100 million lost. That's not an investment. Baseball's great. I think it would be fun to have a baseball team, but I think we need to understand that would be a purchase, not an investment. There isn't any sound social science to support the claim that it's an investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Our last card on this resolution is from Tiffany Reed. Tiffany, please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address council as you get to the podium.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Tiffany Reed. I live at 3225 Park Lake Drive. I'm excited to see that we're making it a priority to invest in our downtown. However, I'm extremely concerned that you all are about to vote on this massive commitment when, to the best of my knowledge, there has been little to no engagement from citizens on this plan. Darius, I appreciate the clarification that you offered earlier, but I think that's a perfect example that none of us have really any idea what is going on, what is about to be voted on, what the plan is, what the timeline is, like what's the history behind this, what's the context, what's the need, what problem is this solving? Myself and many other citizens I've spoken to about this, we have a lot of questions about this initiative, including how will it be paid for and will it put the city into any more debt? How do we know if this plan is actually going to put this neighborhood in a position to build wealth? Not to be shiny, not to look rich. That's not what our downtown needs. Our downtown needs to be resilient. It needs to be able to grow wealth. Developers and consultants promise that these projects are going to spark economic development, but how do we know that? What evidence do we have? Why are we letting an out-of-town consultant and developer tell us what we're going to have in our downtown, rather than involving people who actually live and spend money here? Who is Hunt Development and why do we trust them? Have you even read their Google reviews? They're not great. What residents have you involved in this plan? How many said that they wanted a performing arts center or a new convention center or a new baseball stadium? At $2 billion, this is extremely expensive, and there's no promise it's actually going to work. We have no idea where the city is going to be in 20 years, where this nation is going to be, where this city is going to be, where this state is going to be. Why do we feel the need to tie up our downtown for 2 decades to this future that none of us can predict? What other more affordable, more incremental options have been considered? What opportunities will you create for local, small-scale developers or entrepreneurs to be part of this renewal opportunity? Last year, we completed a very expensive implementation study from Kimley Horn that we've already paid for. Why is it that we can suddenly find $2 billion to do this plan, but we haven't even implemented that other one yet? If your goal is to cultivate a productive downtown, I know for a fact that there are half a dozen things you can do that would cost you a fraction of what Hunt is asking for. We don't need to gamble. We don't need to take this massive risk. We don't need to spend this much money. We can test ideas incrementally, see what works, and invest in the ideas that actually add value and resonate with the community. With that in mind, I'm asking you to please delay this vote and give concerned citizens time to understand what is going on, to ask their questions, and to make their concerns known. If this is really the best way forward, time should prove that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. I appreciate that. We'll now close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any discussion? I'd like to say, yeah, just to reiterate what Mayor Pro Tem Ewing said, we are looking at the overall plan. This thing will change 100 times before the 20 years is up. We will be looking at phase 1 in more detail in a future council meeting. So tonight we are voting, this vote is for the Downtown Master Development Roadmap. And please take a look at it. And as you have issues with it, contact your councilman or me, and we'll incorporate your ideas into the final plan.
Mr. Mayor.
Please, go ahead. Discussion. No.
No. What I will offer and echo Mayor Pro Tem's statement earlier. This presentation today offered a lot of information. So I would encourage people to go back and look at it. One of the things I know that came out of my mouth was the challenge to our consultants to ensure that our residents were participating in this process. All this does is begin the process. We have been talking about this for years at this point. I think that in some way, and I know Ms. Reed mentioned the Kimley Horn study. I believe that's integrated into this. It is part of the downtown plan. It all is like stacks and decks because you can't do one without the other. You can't plan before you study. And so I think that the things that have been happening over the course of these past few years are what we are seeing now. And this is still just the beginning. I mean, infancy beginning of this process that the reason it's gonna projected to take 20 years is because it's huge. It is so much bigger than anything we've ever done before, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. Now, what it does mean is we have to do it intentionally. What it means is we have to do it strategically. And what it means is that we have to do it solely for the benefit of our residents. People don't visit cities because it was built for visitors. They build cities, and cities become tourist towns or whatever because we built that city for our residents. And they enjoy it, and so that's what's shared. It is happenstance that we have become known around the world. That was nothing that anybody planned or predicted. But here we are. And so now we have the opportunity to do better. 80-year-old infrastructure must be repaired. It has to be. The streets program that was mentioned earlier, when I got elected to this seat, was a $3 million budget that within one term moved to like $38 million. So we understood what the problem was, and we said, hey, we've got to correct it. There have been many things regarding infrastructure, regarding transportation, regarding a lot of advancements that we do in everything that we do that have changed, and it has to, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. Now we want to, I know that this council is committed to leading and and making decisions that are beneficial for us as a whole. But this vote right now is just to begin that process. And nothing happens we move at the speed of trust. And unfortunately, municipal government is not the fastest moving machine. But if it's consistent and it's true, then that's the course we stay on.
Thank you, Councilmember Bearfield. I agree with you and all of my colleagues up here. It is a change. A lot of people don't like change, but if we need to do what we need to do for the betterment of the city of Waco, we will do it. I will do it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Please call the council.
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ewing? Yes. Porter? Yes. Holmes?
Aye. One more resolution, or one more consent, one more resolution was pulled from the consent agenda. That is Resolution 2024-479. Is there a motion on Resolution 2024-479?
You gotta move
That special
Yes,
language,
but-
we'll allow you to second it.
It's right here, right?
You want to read it? You want me to
I
read
did
it?
it. Josh was gonna do it.
You're good at reading. I'll let you- It is for District 2, but I'll yield to District 3.
I move that the City of Waco, by record vote, authorize the acquisition, including the use of power of eminent domain, if the city's offer and/or negotiations are unsuccessful, of the fee simple property located at 2424 and 2516 Jackson Avenue, Waco, Texas, and being further described as 4.28 acres of land out of the TJ Chambers Survey Abstract Number 7 in McLennan County, Texas, being all of lots 1 to 5 and the remainder of Lot 6, Block 40, and all of lots 1 to 8 and the remainder of Lot 9, Block 43 of Lincoln Hoger Park of Glenwood Addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat recorded in Volume 254, page 495 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and that called the 200 feet by 65-foot tract described in a deed to William Cameron and Company, or W.M. Cameron and Company, recorded in Volume 489, page 608 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and said acquisition being necessary for the public use for Floyd Casey and Bells Hills Park developmental project.
Do I hear a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ewing?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Holmes?
Aye. Next item to consider is the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of resolutions 2024-463 through 2024-502, except for resolutions 2024-479 and 2024-463. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez? Ewing? Yes. Porter? Yes. Holmes?
Aye, that motion passes. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 2024-503. City Attorney Ritchie.
Sorry, I lost my place. Ordinance 2024-503, an ordinance amending Section 25-244 hearing of Article 10 Junk Motor Vehicles of Chapter 25 Traffic and Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, to reference the appropriate chapter of the Texas Transportation Code, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date, and finding and terminating the meeting at which this ordinance is passed, to open the public as required by law. This ordinance comes to council on first reading.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ewing?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye, that ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is ordinance 2024-504. City Attorney Ritchie.
An ordinance amending Section 2-1 of Article 1 in general of Chapter 2 Administration of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco, Texas, to change the seal of the City of Waco, Texas, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for an effective date, providing for a penalty, and finding and determining the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 4-0 council vote on first reading on June 4th, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ewing?
Yes.
Porter?
Yes.
Holmes?
That ordinance passes on second reading. The next item to consider is ordinance 2024-505. City Attorney Ritchie.
To
to the City of Waco, Texas, providing the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from mixed-use flex and open space to mixed-use flex on property located north of the Flat Rock Road and China Spring Road intersection, being an approximately 3.865-acre tract of land situated in the James Lane Survey, abstract number 531, McLennan County, Texas, including for the following 5 parcels. Number 1, being all of that certain 0.36-acre tract of land described in a special warranty deed dated May 14, 2018, from Farish Wright Investments, Inc., a Texas corporation, to Martin E. Wright, and being of recorded in document 2018-015956 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. 2, being all of the remainder of those certain lands described in a cash warranty deed dated September 21st, 1998, from Billy G. Harrell to Farish Wright Investments, Inc., and being of record in document number 98302-4 of the official public records in McLennan County, Texas, property known as 9401 China Spring Road. Number 3, being all of the remainder of that certain 0.886-acre tract of land described in a general warranty deed dated July 31st, 2002, from Donald Keel and Dale Keel, J.C. Keel and Sons to Martin Wright, and being of record in document number 2002-02-6653 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, property known as 2826 Flat Rock Road. 4, being all of that certain 1-acre tract of land described in a special warranty deed dated January 22nd, 2015, from Farish Wright Investments, Inc., a Texas corporation, and Martin E. Wright, and being of record in document number 2015-002440 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, property known as 2816 Flat Rock Road. And 5, being all of that certain 1-acre tract of land described in a warranty deed dated February 11th, 1999, from Reuben Dilks to Martin Wright, and being of record in volume 419, page 300 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, providing the code of ordinances be amended by revising section 28-247 and chapter 28 zoning of the code, providing the zoning map shall be changed so the property described above shall be changed from R1B and C3 to C2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and terminating the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 4-0 council vote on first reading on June 4th, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Porterrood?
Yes.
Ewing?
Yes.
Holmes?
That ordinance passes on second reading. Next item to consider is ordinance 2024-506. City Attorney Ritchie.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, provide the code of ordinances be amended by revising section 28-247 and chapter 28 zoning of said code. Provide the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property described as lots 15 through 22 and lot 29, block 2, Roselawn Addition, known as 1809 and 1815 LaSalle Avenue, shall be changed from C5 district classification and become and be designated to O2 district classification. Providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and terminating the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 4-0 council vote on first reading on June 4th, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Porterrood?
Yes.
Ewing?
Yes.
Holmes?
That ordinance passes on second reading. Next item to consider is ordinance 2024-507. City Attorney Ritchie.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning portions of 2 20-foot alleys and a portion of the Myrtle Street right-of-way located between Bridge Street and Taylor Avenue, as recorded on the H&TC Railroad Edition, as shown on the plat recorded in volume 186, page 396 of the deed records in McLennan County, Texas, being more particularly described as number 1, approximately 0.053 acres being a part of the 20-foot wide alley located in block 23 H&TC Railroad Edition. Number 2, approximately 0.352 acres being the portion of Myrtle Street right-of-way located in between blocks 23 and 27 H&TC Railroad Edition. And number 3, approximately 0.019 acres being a 10-foot wide part of a 20-foot wide alley located in block 27 H&TC Edition. Adopting findings and conditions from the Waco Plan Commission for this abandonment, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing severability clause, and finding and terminating the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 4-0 council vote on first reading on June 4th, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Porterud,
Yes.
Ewing,
Yes.
Holmes.
That ordinance passes on second reading. The next item on the agenda is the hearing of visitors. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration listed in the agenda. Speakers will be allotted 3 minutes to speak. The council is unable to conduct a discussion, but will listen. We'll ask staff to look into concerns, and we'll provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that the staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. When called to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. If you're speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more individuals present, please have those persons stand at the beginning of your comments. You'll be given 10 minutes to address the council. Please note that if you stand in support of a person giving 10 minutes to speak, you are forfeiting your right to speak on that item. For any person addressing the council through the use of a translator, the speaking time will be doubled to accommodate the translation services. While public discourse is very important to the council, we have to maintain order in the meetings so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the Sergeant-at-Arms shall remove from the council meeting any person who, while addressing the city council or while attending the city council meeting, 1, makes personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, 2, becomes boisterous, or 3, makes unauthorized remarks from the audience, claps hands, stomps feet, whistles, yells, or makes similar demonstrations. Yeah, no hand clapping tonight. And we do have a few cards, and I will start, and I'll give you the person who's coming up, and then the on-deck person, just to get ready. The first person to speak is Ian Camacho, followed by Natalia Torres Gonzalez. Do we have Ian Camacho here? Ian Camacho is not here. We'll go to Natalia Torres Gonzalez. Okay, we'll come back to him then. Natalia Torres Gonzalez, followed by Dr. Alan Northcutt.
Good evening. My name is Natalia Torres Gonzalez. I live at 10252 Driscoll Drive in Waco. As you know, we have a problem with our pet population, especially dogs in Waco. Many of us are frustrated. Some of us are angry. But more than anything, we are heartbroken because innocent lives are being lost. Now, setting my broken heart aside, I come here today not to point fingers, but to ask for your help. The problems we see with our pet population do not occur in a vacuum. The numerous lost dogs that are found on the streets daily, and the dogs that are being euthanized at the shelter are only symptoms of a much bigger socioeconomic problem in our communities. As my friend and mentor, Julie Morris, often says, pet problems are people problems. And that is why we need your help. As district leaders, you know your constituents better than any of us. You know where there is the most need for assistance and how to reach those communities. The city of Waco already has great programs, such as the free neuter and spay program. However, many citizens are unaware of it. There are families out there who are struggling to feed their pets and are unaware that there are places, such as the Humane Society of Central Texas, where they can get free food for their pets. I believe that by working together, we can bridge that gap. The current state of animal welfare in our city is living proof that the system is broken and things need to change. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to find the areas that can be improved and work together to brainstorm ideas, find solutions, and implement what already has been proven to work. I truly believe that together we can be more efficient. Together we can have a bigger impact. And together we can save more lives. We all want what's best for Waco. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Torres Gonzalez. Next up is Dr. Alan Northcutt. No clapping. And on deck is Julia Kasaki.
Alan Northcutt, and you do have a handout.
Yeah, did we get those handouts? We all have them? Thanks, Doctor. We got them.
The Riverway Master Plan Community presents a rare opportunity to address the climate crisis from the ground up in a huge subdivision. Now, the council has expressed its concern over the climate crisis. On July 19, 2022, Councilwoman Bearfield made a wonderful statement, quote, "This earth is the only one we have. Environmental justice affects us all, so it is our responsibility to do what we can when we can," close quotations. And that when is now. There is no time for delay according to the science. And the more delay in action at every level, the more suffering. And the suffering is the most severe for the disadvantaged around the world and in Waco. So we call on the council members and the mayor to ask City Manager Ford to reopen the Riverway Agreement now. We need to slow down, study the options, and add climate requirements to the design manual. And this is at little cost to the city. We had 5 suggestions, but there are certainly others that could be considered. One is to build all electric. I know there's some legal challenges to this, but there certainly are all electric subdivisions locally and throughout Texas. All electric building would lower greenhouse gas emissions, improve indoor air quality, improve health, and eliminate the risk of fire and explosion. Number 2, build all garages EV ready. Recall that by 2030, very soon, 60% of new car sales will be electric. This is documented in your handout. So these homes that are being built in this subdivision need to be EV ready now. The International Code Council, which the City Council celebrated last session, calls, in fact, for EV charging infrastructure with new construction. In your handout, you'll see that even small towns like Sedona and Flagstaff, Arizona, are currently building EV ready or EV capable. This is also documented in your handout. A number of cities are listed, and I show some populations. And, this is important, the cost is 75% lower than with retrofitting, which is going to happen as we transition to electric. So you're going to save the homeowners money. Number 3, the higher priced homes should be solar ready. 4, businesses and parking lots should include EV chargers. And 5, the community buildings in the subdivision should include solar plus battery storage. Now, the developers may balk and say this can't be done, but certainly cities around the U.S. have proven that this can be done. Finally, picture a prospective SpaceX or L3 employee visiting Riverway, probably driving a Tesla. Do we want her to see a community building with EV chargers and solar, or a building that looks like it's dredged from 1950?
Thank you, Dr.
Please call on Mr. Ford to reopen the Riverway Agreement now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Northcutt. Next up is Julia Kasaki, followed by Gabby Hoxie. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address council. Ms. Kasaki.
I'm Julia Kasaki, and I live on Fish Pond Road. Given that the City of Waco has approved substantial public funding for the planned Riverway community, it is reasonable for the city to impose some requirements for the public benefit, specifically by measures to mitigate the climate change crisis. I urge you to direct the city manager to reopen the agreement for the public benefit. The weather extremes that climate change makes more likely threaten our health and our infrastructure, from the spike in heat-related deaths last year to widespread blackouts from storms. And between population growth and technological advances, the demand for electricity is ever increasing. Meeting that demand is both vital and challenging. If Riverway's community centers have solar panels with battery, it would help stabilize the grid for all of us. If the more expensive planned homes have solar-ready wiring, it would encourage their owners to provide even more support for the grid. With electric vehicles becoming more popular, it makes sense for all Riverway's garages and carports to be set up for overnight charging, and for the community centers to have fast chargers. These features could be selling points, making the Riverway properties more attractive to potential buyers. It would be wise to build in ways that reduce the overarching problem of greenhouse gas emissions and that take account of foreseeable risks like strain on the electric grid. Please do what you can to mitigate the effects of climate change for the residents of Waco. Specifically, please direct the city manager to reopen the Riverway agreement for the public benefit so that necessary changes can be planned before construction begins. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kisaki. Appreciate your comments. Next up is Gabby Hoxie, followed by Ian Camacho. Did Ian come back? There you are. We missed you a little bit ago. Stay on deck. I see you now. All right. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to address council. Ms. Hoxie.
My name is Gabby Hoxie, and I thought those forms were for everybody to fill out when they walked in, so I didn't know. I live in Hewitt. I'm from California. I moved here in the 80s, and I'm here to talk about the shelter. So I see you guys will have all these plans, but I hear nothing for the shelter. The shelter's overflowing. I mean, we have an issue. Let's face it. Waco is growing so fast. We can't even keep up with how we're growing. But yet, you have all this money you want to spend. Where's it coming from? Us? That's all I got to say.
Thanks, Ms. Hoxie. Next is Mr. Camacho. You ready? On deck is Carolyn Nadell. Carolyn. Mr. Camacho, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes.
You have 3 minutes to address council.
Yes, hi, good evening, council. My name is Ian Camacho. I'm at 4220 Grimm Avenue in wonderful District 4. Councilman Ewing, that's you. My wife Olga and I have been Waco residents for over 2 years. We're also the owner of 2 rescue dogs, one from Central Texas Humane Society. Her name is Pancakes, the other one is Tucker. I am also Republican Party Precinct Chair, elect number 30. Don't hold that against me for some of you who are Democrats or independents. But my issue is really not partisan here. It really shouldn't be. I'm part of a grassroots group that, regardless of their political stripes or affiliation, we all come from various walks of life to address the lost and stray dog issue. We were actually featured in a segment this weekend on KWTX. Thank you to Ken Willits and Renee Grooms for organizing it. We don't really have a name yet. I proposed the name Waco Animal Group because it's WAG. I don't know if you like it. But we know you're in negotiations right now with the Humane Society of Central Texas, and the budget's a concern. We get it. We don't want to think about animals in their lives in terms of dollars and cents, but there is a cost to feed them, to shelter them, to pay the staff and the utilities. There's a cost to the other 15 or so cities and towns around to send animals to Waco Animal Control. That adds cost to Waco Animal Birth Control, to spay and neuter animals from all over the county. And an issue we're really seeing with this is a taxation of our resources. But more importantly, it's not that we really lack the resources here in Waco, it's really a lack of knowledge that puts a strain on those resources. Some of my colleagues already came up earlier and they spoke about the birth control that's offered, but we also have programs like SNF, which gives financial waivers to Good Samaritans who bring in lost and strays to fire stations. The shelter offers free food for dogs, which relieves a burden on some of the lower income dog owners, their Facebook pages, and more. There may be people right now here who don't know about any of those things. I didn't until this weekend. And I don't know if all of you know about those things. And so we believe that if you could communicate that more, perhaps in the water handouts that we get with the water bills, you could put that perhaps on your website. Just that information alone would be a very low cost. It would be a great way to get that material out. It would actually lower the amount, too, of births because of stray dogs and lost dogs, because there would be more spaying and neutering going on, which would, of course, reduce the taxation on the resources, because we don't want to euthanize if we can avoid that. So just let us know if there's anything we can do after the meeting that we can do to help you, if there's any data that we can provide you, any things we can do over here. And we just want to involve the community around here, around McLennan. So thank you so much for your time, and I do appreciate it. Have a great week.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Great. Next up is Carolyn Nadell, followed by Mr. Ken Willets. Ken, are you ready? Ken, you're on deck.
Hi, good evening. I live on Proctor Avenue. A few weeks ago, a vulnerable stray kitten took refuge on my porch seeking solace in what should have been a safe place. I had been diligently attempting to trap the kitten, eager to provide it with care and shelter it so desperately needed. I received a notification from my front door camera alerting me to unexpected activity while at work. Upon viewing the footage, I witnessed nothing short of a nightmare. 2 large dogs brazenly invaded my porch, their intentions unmistakably malicious. In a moment of sheer horror, one dog pounced upon the defenseless kitten, subjecting it to savage and relentless attack with aggression that I could scarcely comprehend. This sheer act of brutality has left me traumatized. I cannot erase from my mind the haunting image of the kitten's final moments, nor can I silence the echoes of its desperate cries for mercy. The senselessness of such violence against helpless creatures defies all reason and decency. But let me be clear, I do not blame the dogs. I blame their careless owner. Since then, I have been in contact with multiple people in Waco, Animal Control, Chief of Police, and other Waco administration. I implore you to take immediate action to address the rampant issues of stray animals, loose animals, abuse, and neglect in our community. No living being should be subjected to such cruelty and neglect, and it is incumbent upon us all to ensure measures are taken in place to protect the most vulnerable of us all. Waco has a problem with stray dogs and cats, revealing a systemic challenge in managing animal welfare. Stray animals endure harsh realities on the streets, facing hunger, disease, and dangers posed by traffic and hostile environments. However, the situation in Waco seems particularly dire due to several factors contributing to a flawed system. Insufficient funding and resources allocated to animal shelters, rescue organizations, hinder their ability to provide adequate care and support for stray animals. Overcrowded shelters struggle to accommodate the influx of animals, leading to euthanasia as a means of population control. Local animal control is facing a significant strain due to the rise in stray animals and calls of abuse and neglect. This influx is making it challenging to ensure all animals receive the care they need. Despite the challenges, animal control officers work tirelessly to help the animals in the community. Additionally, there are many gaps in public awareness and education regarding responsible pet ownership. Some individuals may abandon pets due to financial constraints, lack of knowledge about pet care, or simply because they underestimate the commitment required to care for an animal. Despite all these challenges, dedicated individuals and organizations in Waco, they're still not working. It's not enough to solve the problem. Lasting change requires a comprehensive approach involving government.
Can you wrap up your comments? 3 minutes are up.
Okay. Well, I just hope that Waco can work towards a safer environment for its stray animals.
Thank you, Ms.
very much.
Thank you, Ms. Nadell. Ken Willets, you're up next, followed by Carol Goldstein.
Ken Willets, 4324 Shady Glen Drive in the beautiful District 5, thanks to Mayor Holmes. No bad dog, bad owners. Thanks to the city and Cody in Solid Waste Department for the brush pickup after all the trees have been coming down. Nice to see that the city stepped up and addressed an issue without a citizen outcry. Thank you, Cody. I wish they were still here. You just heard the story about the kitten that the lady saw. She received an email from the Animal Service Operation Manager. And this is how it went. I am deeply saddened by your account of the tragic incident involving the stray kitten on your porch. I cannot imagine the distress and trauma you must be experiencing after witnessing such a horrific event. First and foremost, please accept my condolences for the loss of the sweet kitten. Your compassion and dedication to caring for such a vulnerable animal is truly commendable. That letter was issued less than a month ago. Now let's compare the city animal shelter management reaction back in February when 2 dogs broke through a privacy fence, mauled and killed a family dog in its own backyard. The animal care officer went to the home of the killer dogs, found the dogs with blood still on their face, and did nothing. Allowed the dogs to stay with the family, maybe to kill again. No letter from the city animal management, from the city shelter management company, offering condolences for the family's loss. In another case, animal control officers went to the trouble to get a warrant and confiscate 2 dogs off the couch as the owner pleaded not to take their family members. Why? Accused of neglect. The dogs were thin, the dogs had thinning hair, and the dogs had rash, flaky skin. The owners went to court. A judge stated there was no neglect and threw the case out. No apology letter from the city animal shelter management. I believe the May 24th sympathetic email using such words as saddened, tragic, horrific, condolences, compassion, owner, responsible, was issued because of the efforts and pressure these citizens behind me are putting on the City Council and the Animal Welfare Board. I think the current city animal shelter management should be ashamed of themselves and replaced with personnel that have years of experience in animal care and positive reaction with the general public. Until I have been asking City Council and the Animal Welfare Board to set up a joint coalition with city staff and concerned citizens to address the out-of-control stray dog issue. I have received only crickets. Until last night, thanks to the KWTX Channel 10, I received an email from Ashley, thank you Ashley, asking how the city can help our grassroots stray dog and cat committee. This is the first positive movement from the city regarding our fight to save lives at the animal shelter. The first of more steps needed regarding the animal shelter to make Waco a city to believe in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Willis. Next up is Carol Goldstein. And Carol, I believe you are speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more. Is that correct? Could those 10 people still stand up right now, just so we can get the official count? I think that's 10. Okay, Ms. Goldstein, you have 10 minutes to address the council.
Thank you, Mayor. Carol Goldstein, 4126 Evergreen Circle. Council members, city representatives, I moved to Waco 4 years ago from Austin. I've lived in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, South Carolina, Florida, and Texas. But for a couple of Caribbean islands I've visited, I've never experienced animal neglect and abuse and lack of oversight such as exists here in Waco. I'm a lawyer and a mediator. Since moving to Waco, I have done pro bono work for the Dispute Resolution Center, so I know firsthand that there are in this city nonprofits, private sector entities, and city agencies that are compassionate, well-intended, and do good work. I also know that when it comes to leadership, the city often uses headhunters to identify and match the right individuals to the right positions. However, this standard and description simply does not apply to the city's approach to management of the animal shelter. In an effort to understand what was and remains the obstacle or obstacles to improving the highly visible lost and stray animal problem here in Waco, I began to do some research and ask some questions. I am sharing with you my findings. There are many facets to the problem. Some of them include community education, owner responsibility, animal control's more efficient use of staff and resources, just to name a few. None of those are predominantly your problem, but there are 2 material aspects to this problem that are yours to address, and they are HR and the financials. So let me address HR. In inquiring of other cities, both in Texas and out of Texas, as to their criteria for hiring a shelter manager, each city that I reviewed has as a minimum, certain requirements. Allow me to summarize 3 of them, which will be illustrative of most of them. To manage a city animal shelter, the individual must have, number 1, a BA in public health, business administration, or public policy, and 5 years of experience in progressively responsible management of a large community or social service organization. City number 2, a BA in business or public administration and 5 years minimum experience managing an animal shelter and 2 years minimum supervisory management experience. And city number 3, where no BA is required, 10 years minimum of experience in animal welfare organization and 3 years minimum customer care and animal shelter experience. The current manager of the City of Waco shelter has no experience that relates to the position he holds or remotely relates to what should be required if this city was serious about running an efficient, successful, and model shelter. As a result of this lack of experience, conditions at the shelter have been deteriorating exponentially. There is a toxic and retaliatory work environment at the shelter. Most recently, management's retaliation for the Humane Society's participation in a decision by Judge Garcia is evidence of that fact. There are sudden internal rule changes that are insufficient notice, resulting in expedited euthanizing of increased numbers of healthy animals, animals which might have otherwise found homes or been fostered. 24 dogs euthanized in less than the last 10 days. This is poor management of taxpayer dollars and ineffective application of services. Communication between city management and the Humane Society has all but ceased. Why is that important? Well, it's important because on the city's own website, you promote that you have partnered with the Humane Society. You can't partner with someone with whom you do not communicate and with whom you have created an adversarial relationship that lacks trust and mutual respect. Perhaps placing the shelter under the police department is why you have a police commander running it, who it appears takes a punitive and uncompromising approach to management. Perhaps the shelter belongs back under public health or some other department more compassionately aligned with community-oriented issues, goals, and a new, qualified manager. Recently, each of you was sent an email, and you've hopefully read it, from the Humane Society board members and staff that support with specificity the factual detail on the statements I just made about the work environment at the shelter. Excuse me. It appears that neither a headhunter nor even very much consideration was given to the requirements for the position of manager of the animal shelter when the position was recently filled. As a result, and not surprisingly, there is currently no effective or enlightened leadership on the city side of the campus who is capable of cooperation, problem solving, and instituting best practices. What is not being done on the city side is attempting to be compensated for by the Humane Society, and who is the other half of this alleged partnership. But it is financially and emotionally overwhelming for the Humane Society to continue in this manner and under these conditions. This is the #1 issue that the city and the council need to address to remedy it immediately. It is also the fastest way to turn around the big picture and bring a positive outlook to those working on the campus. Paying $120,000 a year to an individual who brings no relevant skill or experience to the job is a stunningly poor decision and a misapplication of taxpayer dollars. The shelter needs a new qualified manager with a proven track record of subject matter knowledge and successful administrative related experience who knows how to work collaboratively. #2, finance. Let's begin with the assumption that both entities want the highest good for all concerned, not the least of which are the animals. There are 2 budgets that impact the existence and operation of the campus. By the city's own description on its website, as I said, it partners with the Humane Society. The City of Waco's annual operating budget is $670.9 million. The Humane Society's annual operating budget is under $1 million. So the financial inequities of this agreement and their respective negotiating positions is self-evident. A contract currently exists between the two. It details their respective roles and responsibilities, including financial allocations. That contract was executed in August of 2022 by then Board Chairman Christina Costa. In October of 2023, with the installment of the new board chair, Patricia Meadows, notice was given to the city that the prior chairman had proceeded in signing a contract without board approval and without the benefit of counsel, who was out of country at the time. This current contract places a highly disproportionate financial burden on the Humane Society for spay, neutering, health care, microchipping, reception services, report compilation, adoption and foster fees, and costs for out-of-state placement, when in fact, these animals are the property of the city. They are Waco's property. They are the city's property. The costs and expenses related to their intake, to their care, medical procedures, and placement should be borne by the city, not by the Humane Society. A February 2023 meeting did occur between the city and the Humane Society, and an accommodation was agreed upon to reimburse the Humane Society for spaying and neutering costs up to $800 per week for off-campus surgeries. Even though it's an insufficient amount, even this has not been honored. Since January of '24, despite proper invoicing, the city has reimbursed the Humane Society $0. In a recent meeting with the Humane Society, it was asked by the city what they needed financially on an annual basis. The answer from the Humane Society was $1.2 million. The reply from the city was no. If the city is truly at a loss as to how to find $1.2 million in a $670 million operating budget, I would note that my Waco water bill recently was added to significantly by dollars allegedly used to cover infrastructure upgrades. Everyone's bill has been increased. If Waco Water has 155,000 customers, if they add 50 cents to everyone's bill, at the end of the year, they'll have $980,000, almost what the Humane Society has asked for and been denied. In summary, and that's just a thought, there are other ideas, I'm sure. In summary, all of the nice slogans, Waco a city to believe in, let's keep Waco clean, all the houses painted white with black shutters, all the ribbon cutting for new businesses will not obscure the dark underbelly of a city that continues to allow neglect, abuse, and mismanagement of their animal population. Animal control is very much a contributing factor in this problem. Just check your emails regarding 1825 Bagby or the Mary Pride case that Judge Garcia just dismissed. This campus, where Humane Society and the city should be working collaboratively, has great potential. Historically and intermittently, it has reached that potential. However, current conditions, meaning city managerial leadership and disproportionate financial allocations, have led to excessive euthanizing, inadequate care, and the devastation of morale. As I said at the outset, there are many facets to this, not all of which are yours, but HR and finance are yours.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you for your
Goldstein.
time and hopefully for expeditiously addressing this necessity.
Thank you so much, Ms. Goldstein. Next up, we have Karen Eggets. Is Ms. Eggets here? Karen, and did you have 10 people? If you stood up for the other one, you don't stand up for this one. If you stood up for Ms. Goldstein, you can't stand up for this one. But, all right, that's 10.
My name is Karen Eggets. I'm at 511 Kings Row, and I echo, and I'm embarrassed to follow Ms. Carroll with her fabulous presentation. I prepared mine before I knew what she was going to say. 20 hours per week. That's how much time I donate to my community as a volunteer at our municipal animal shelter. 20 hours of my time, 7 days a week, to support our community and to advocate for and give love to every single dog that enters our shelter. During the time I'm at the shelter, I literally run, which is why I always have these shoes on when I come, to not waste time. You can ask anyone who's ever at the shelter with me, I run. I am running to save lives. As a taxpayer, I want to know why a person with zero shelter experience and zero animal behavior experience is overseeing our shelter. I'm not sure what Gary Hyatt's title is at the shelter, but he has made it clear that our shelter is his campus and that he is in charge. He is so convicted that our shelter is his campus, he once kicked me out of his office for me asking questions about a dog that was returned by a foster owner. The dog was shot in the head, dead, wrapped in a blanket. The foster owner returned it, alleging that the dog bit him. I simply wanted to know of Gary, did we take pictures of the alleged bite when the dog was returned? His response was, I don't know, did the Humane Society take pictures of bites? And we went round and round for 30 minutes. I explained that the animal shelter does not, or the Humane Society does not intake dogs. The city intakes the dogs. We've had conversations with the city asking for pictures because when a dog is alleged to have bitten someone, that dog is bumped to the top of the list for euthanization. I've been there for over 2 years, and I understand that people are often not truthful when they allege that a dog bit them. So he got upset that I kept asking the question 27 different ways, and he kicked me out of his office. Another time when I had questions about another incident, he threatened to ban me from his premises. Those were his exact words. He was going to ban me from his premises. Gary Hyatt has no shelter experience, yet our city put him in a position to oversee our shelter. Gary Hyatt goes to the shelter every day making decisions that he is not qualified to make. The Humane Society staff and volunteers in our community come to the shelter to advocate for the dogs whose futures are precarious and uncertain. Yet we bond with these dogs and we love these dogs, knowing there's a chance that they might not make it out of the shelter alive, which is a gutting proposition. Yet we do it. We go every day, we do it for our dogs, and we do it for our community. It has become more than difficult to continue to go to the shelter every day, seeing and hearing all of the hurdles that the city, staff, and Humane Society volunteers and staff encounter every single moment of every single day. Some of those hurdles exist because of dog population, overpopulation, but some of those hurdles are created because our shelter is being managed and overseen by a police commander with zero shelter experience and zero animal behavior experience. It is exhausting. It is emotionally draining. It is mentally difficult to process when you walk into the shelter on a Thursday after a hard day of work with Gary Hyatt telling the Humane Society that he needs 13 dogs. 13 dogs last Thursday. We had to pick 13 dogs. Unprecedented for me to walk in one day and have Gary Hyatt say, we need 13 dogs. It is emotionally more difficult to process when the shelter is managed by a police department commander who knows absolutely nothing about animal sheltering and animal behavior. I emailed Bradley Ford to ask why our city chose someone with zero shelter experience to manage our shelter and why Gary Hyatt's job description says nothing, zero, nada, about his shelter responsibilities. Here was Bradley's response to me. We have a shelter manager with experience. Her name is Melissa Sheldon. We also have Commander Hyatt providing oversight. Our problem at the shelter is overcrowding. Oversight, what does that mean? How can Gary provide oversight at a shelter when he has zero shelter experience? Bradley saying the problem is overcrowding is a simplification of a very complicated problem and shows a total lack of knowledge and understanding of animal sheltering. The problem is much larger than overcrowding. And if our shelter has a problem, we must have a competent, qualified, experienced person finding solutions. You do not put an inexperienced person in a position when we have problems. That is negligent, and it makes zero sense to me. It begs the question, does our city hire inexperienced people to oversee all of our departments, or is it just animal services? Gary Hyatt, with his zero animal behavior experience, walks the halls of our shelter, making uneducated guesses at which dogs are behavioral. It is frustrating to me, and it is wrong to have someone without animal behavior experience walking the halls, looking at dogs, standing in front of their kennels, and making behavioral decisions, euthanization decisions based on their behavior. even though most people know that a dog's behavior is completely different in its kennel, and you cannot determine its behavior based on its kennel behavior. How can our shelter workers take direction from someone with no shelter experience and no animal behavior experience? There are conversations that are had between the city and the Humane Society about dogs when it comes time. 12 dogs the prior week, 13 dogs Wednesday, or last Thursday, 3 dogs were euthanized the day before. There are conversations that are had between the Humane Society and the city, trying to pick medical dogs, behavioral dogs. Then they go to dogs that have been there the longest, called time and space. Gary Hyatt has made it clear to our experienced shelter staff who spends every day with these dogs that he can override any decision that they make. Our shelter workers work themselves to death trying to find solutions, trying to make the best calls on their experience. It is offensive when someone with no experience overrides and manages people with experience, especially when it costs innocent lives, when it has the last 2 weeks. I don't even ask the names of the dogs anymore. I used to ask, but Thursday I left the shelter knowing 13 dogs that I know and love weren't going to be there Friday. And when I saw my text Friday morning to see the dogs that were euthanized, it was gutting. We have an overpopulation problem, and we need creative solutions. Our shelter needs experienced management and oversight. Our city to believe in is negligent by placing an inexperienced person in a position to oversee our shelter. Our tax dollars are paying a person with 0 shelter experience $120,000 of our taxpayers, of our tax dollars. $120,000 a year Gary Hyatt gets paid to manage our shelter. Oh wait, he doesn't manage it, he oversees it. Why? My question is, who put them in that position and why? We need someone to offer solutions rather than to create chaos. Hurdles are what have been put in place, not leadership, not solutions, but hurdles. Hurdles that are affecting the mental health of staff and causing the lives of good dogs because of his inability to oversee, to lead, and to find solutions. When a shelter is struggling, it is imperative that experienced leadership is in place to find creative solutions. They are out there. As citizens, we demand that a person be placed in that position at the shelter that was someone with sheltering experience. Our tax dollars pay a salary, and he has no business overseeing that shelter. I will say that Gary considers anyone who doesn't go along with what he is saying as undermining his authority, as Carol said, and his reactions are verbally punitive. That is based on fact, not inference. For those of you who haven't been to our community shelter, it is a beacon of light. It is a fabulous place, and it has the potential to be the leading shelter in the state of Texas or in the nation. It is a fabulous place, and we have volunteers that go daily, and it's just very frustrating that it's run by someone that has no experience. So for our community, I ask that you consider everything that I just said. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eggets. Next up is Juan Estrada. Juan? Mr. Estrada, please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address council.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Juan Estrada. I reside at 3209 North 21st Street. And again, I'm here also for the animals that are spoken of today. You know, I don't know Mr. Gary, and I'm not Julio the dog whisperer. You know, I'm just a person out here, but I got a heart, guys. I speak from the heart. I don't have a script. I don't write anything down. But I live by Edna Park, and there's strays walking down there. And you know, me and my wife actually, my wife has went over there and fed these animals. You know, and I look at them, and again, you hear these stories, and I browse through my phone when I'm working, when I'm training somebody. He does the working. I browse through the phone, and I see these, you know, there was a article there where a deputy or someone shot 7 dogs that were in a building in Arizona, and they were starving. You know, that touched me. I lost with words, speak from the heart. And I applaud all these people that come up here and talk about the animals. We need help. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Estrada. Is there anyone else present tonight who would like to speak during the hearing of visitors? Seeing no one, we'll close the hearing of visitors. Next, we will administer the oath of office to the one and only George Chase. George, please join City Secretary Hicks in the front, right up here. George, where are you? Right in front of the dais here for the oath of office. And City Secretary Michelle Hicks will administer the oath of office. Why don't we take a couple, come on this way, take your time. We'll wait for the,
That's right.
for the hall to clear here. No, you're good. Michelle, wait a minute for these people to get out. All right. Yeah, let's go. Everything? You ready, George? Got it.
Here we go. I, George Chase,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of the City of Waco Council Member
of the City of Waco Council Member
of the State of Texas
of the State of Texas
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the United States
of the United States,
of this state
and
of the City of Waco.
and of the City of Waco.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
George, we are so happy that you're on this council. You are a significant upgrade from the former District 5 council. We're here for the entire council. But you had a great record of public service, and I like the private sector leadership that you have too, which really kind of set you apart. I look forward to working with you. You're coming on to council in one of the most dynamic periods in the history of the city, and I know you're up to the task. So
I appreciate being selected, and I look forward to serving.
Would you like to say a few words of
No,
introduction?
that kind of said it all. I do have a few family members here. Thank them for coming. I tried to discourage them, but several of them are also constituents, and so here we are. So thank you all.
Other comments?
Welcome aboard, George. I'm the oldest and longest serving member on this board, so I get the opportunity of welcoming you first to this board. Welcome to you, and we're glad to have you. And
Thank you. I'm glad to be
join
here.
in all the fun that we have.
Congratulations, George. We are excited to have you join our team, and that's exactly what we are and how we function. Your work and commitment to this city and to this community speaks for itself, and I am eager to hear the voice that you will lend to this council.
Thank you.
Well,
I agree with all of that. George, I'm really looking forward to working with you. I've not known you for very long, but in our encounters, you come with such a posture of humility and a willingness to jump in and learn, and that is exactly what is needed. So I'm really glad to have you join our team. And I mentioned this during the interviews, but now that Alice is here, everyone except for Josh up here has gone through the appointment process. And so all of us can empathize with the difficulty of being grilled with interview questions, and we know that it's not easy to even present your best self in that time. So appreciate your willingness to put yourself out for that process, and glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me add my voice to the chorus here, and I would say that, as tonight demonstrates, that there's a lot of passion that goes into this work on both sides of it, both those doing the governance and those whom we represent. And so I appreciate your record of leadership and your willingness to do this work with us. And so we're all very confident and excited that you're going to be a great addition to the team. So thank you for your willingness.
Thank you.
to
I hope
serve.
so.
Thanks again, George. Welcome to the family up here. We don't agree all the time, but we do love each other, and it's a very productive group up here. I'm glad you're part of it. The next item is city or council comments on community interest. Are there any announcements the council would like to make? Alicia.
I have a comment. I just want to thank the Parks and Rec Department, Jonathan Cook, and all the staff that were out there last Friday night. I went to hear Los Lonely Boys. That was an awesome, awesome show. And our staff put on a show themselves. They had everything so awesomely projected out there. The sound, the music, the way they handled all the crowd that was out there, the way they handled us. So it was, Bradley, we have a great staff on Parks, and they worked so hard. And I just had to say that because I was watching them while I was eating tamales. So it was good. It was a good presentation. It was a good event, and I enjoyed it. And I know the folks that were out there were a lot of folks out there, enjoyed it as well. Thank you.
I will echo my sister council members' good comments. And I want also, for the record, Borderoot household was out there, enjoyed ourselves, felt the exact same way, and were surprised that Alice stayed out there much longer than we did. We went in, she was still partying when we were heading home, so.
Had to hear heaven.
That's right, I know, yeah, we left before that, embarrassingly.
Before we get out of here, I just wanted to acknowledge this weekend's Juneteenth parade. Central Texas African American Chamber put on an amazing event once again. There were more entries in the parade this year than there have ever been, but I think there was also a bigger crowd than we've seen in a very long time. Especially happy to see Elm Avenue back open and the original parade route to be, where's the verb for that? I don't know, for people to go down. The marshal of said parade was our very own mayor and grand marshal. Please excuse me, sir. Put some respect on his name, okay? But I mean, it was a wonderful event. I mean, the bands, the parades, the trail riders, the churches, the organizations. I mean, it was a strong presence for the city of Waco, and it was heartfelt. If you read the news article, you know that people from here, as well as people from out of town, really felt Waco's community that day. So, and NAACP's gathering in Bridge Street Plaza was amazing, and all the activities that went on in this past Saturday were appreciated and just evidence of how great the city is.
It was, I'll just echo that. It was a fun morning, and
And
John
you
Bible.
loved the grand.
Yeah, being in
grand
front,
name.
that was kind of fun, yeah. But yeah, John Bible and Rachel Pate with Centex African American Chamber of Commerce did a great job. It was a fun day. Any other comments here?
Yeah, I'll just echo Councilwoman Barefield's sentiments from the parade on Saturday. And who am I?
Michelle, I forgot to talk about the
Oh,
float.
yes, and throw in the fact that Michelle and the rest of our city secretary's office continue to show out with astounding parade float design and execution. And we know it was supposed to be bigger and better than it even was, and we had some issues with transportation getting it over there, but we want to thank you particularly for the work that goes in. We get there maybe 30 minutes early. You guys are there well before that, and the days preceding it to make sure that everything's ready for us. You brought music this time. I hope we didn't blow our candy budget already for the year on that parade. But thank you for that. The parade was awesome. I am legitimately thrilled that we had the most entries. It felt like such an awesome crowd and turnout. And I will say something at the risk of making everyone in the room really uncomfortable. I was so pleased to see that because there was a giant turnout as well in the first parade after 2020. And in the preceding years, there has been sort of a hesitance or a peeling back to embrace a lot of the things that we began to acknowledge in 2020. And so to see more people coming out and lack of fatigue, and instead people being excited to be out there again, that was really awesome to see. With that being said, tomorrow is the holiday. City offices will be closed. Do not attempt to enter City Hall. Don't call anybody. They won't call you back. I made Cody announce earlier, if your trash is picked up on Wednesdays, it will not be picked up. Do not take your trash to the curb tonight. I don't know. I meant to ask him how that affects me as a Thursday customer. It doesn't?
I'm a Thursday
Great.
customer
Wow.
also, so it
So
doesn't
if you
affect
see
us at all.
someone in solid waste that's driving a truck, give them a pat on the back. They're doing double duty on Thursday. And that's all I got.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Just before we close, I just want to say, just quickly, let's keep the family of Clint Peters, the Director of Planning, let's keep him in our prayers. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there, but Clint, we're praying for you and Missy and Abby. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 7:54.